We are going to be learning today Rambam Hilchos Tumas Tzaraas Perek test about a Kohen, what his power is in making Tuma come about. So Rambam writes, first of all, who can do it? Which Kohen can do it? Which people can do it? How does it work? There's a concept called Rias, which means to evaluate, judge, and see if they're liable to become Tameh. You can see anybody's Negoim. In other words, you can evaluate. Except for your own. Now, this is a big halacha because the machlekes in the Gemara, in the Mishnah, the goyim, there's opinions that hold that a karoiv, a relative, can't see, can't judge whether it's a nega or not. And the Rambam Paskins like one opinion that you can't, which is the prevailing opinion. Halacha Beis, he qualifies that halacha and he says, Ava bishakel ksherim, there is negoim. True. However, atuma v'hatara tluya b'kay. The actual tumatara is totally b'kay. Kate, now he comes up and he tells you a story. Kohen sheni yedei liris. Kohen that cannot evaluate. He has no ability to evaluate. Hachachim reyeyu comes along a chacham, doesn't have to be a kohen. Anybody? Now here Rambam adds, and he says, Amir Tameh. Tells the kohen, you say Tameh. The kohen I'm a Tameh. Amir Tahir. Kohen I'm a Tahir. You say Tahir, and the kohen responds. Then it says, it's Girai. Has Girai. Lock him up. Has Girai. Now this is very interesting because, as we'll see, not everything here is clear in the Gemara, the Mishnah. Okay, then he goes on to say that the Kohen has to do it relying on the Chacham, but if he's relying on himself, then he can't do it unless he knows the stuff. A couple more halachas, just quickly, the idea. Ram learns out that a cholol. Now, where do we learn that from? He brings the pasuk, Shenemar, V'al piyem yeh korim v'chol nega. Through them has to be everything. Kohen has to be everything. So pasuk is shaved. Halacha hey. He says that a kohen cholol is pas. Because it has to be it has to be a kohen, the kunas, that they are capable of doing kuna. A balmum is kosher. If one eye is weak, he can't. If he's blind in one eye, he can't. He has weak eyes, he can't. And then comes another halacha. Halacha above, you can only see the goyim by day, whether it's to just lock him up or to finalize the halacha. Because it says constantly bayay. Okay. One more halacha in Hilchos Sanhedrin. Ein maschilin es hadinim balayla. Can't begin a din. If somebody has a financial dispute and comes to a bezdin cannot take on the case at night after work and say, no, we finished our work, now we're going to do it. No, after that, they have to start by the I'm sure Lamdu, where do you get that from? Sha'adinim kenegoyim. Remember it said l'chol riv, l'chol nega. That dinim are like negoyim. Shenem l'chol riv, l'chol nega. Ma rias negoyim b'yem v'vat, af adinim b'yem v'vat. Now the problem with this Rambam is that he's quoting a pasuk that's not according to halacha. That's the shit of the one that holds that that's our mayor. We're going to argue with him. Okay. Let's see a couple of sugyas, interesting sugyas. The Gemara is welcome to Kuf Gemara brings a brisa. Wants to know who made Miriam a Mitzvah. In order to become a Mitzvah, a Kohen had to say, stomach. Time of Moshe. Now Moshe, according to that Gemara, Rav holds that Moshe was a Kohen at that time. The Gemara says, the brisa says, in time of Moshe was a Zor. And ain't Zor is in a Goy. In time of Aaron, if it was Aaron that said Aaron Karufel, and Karuf rose in the Goy. Now that's the opinion of Rameir, and that's the one who learns the heckish between Dinam and the Goyim. Just like by Dinam, Karuf is no good, and the Goyim is no good. Now we argue with that, but this Gemara Taisa says is going quite a Ramandama. Anywhere comes out with a interesting thing that the Avishta, who is a Kohen, he's the one that took care of her. I'll just throw in a few lines there. They will ask, it would be better if nobody would take care of her. The answer is no. If you got Tzaraas, the only way it'll go away is if you go through the process. Otherwise, she'd live with it the rest of her life. It's one. Second is that if you got Tzaraas, you need the kapara, and that will only happen if she goes through the process. Another question that's asked is why doesn't the Gemara say Ramesha? He's a Karev. Why does he say because he's a Zar? So one answer is yeah, it's true, but he's also a Zar, which is the reason the Gemara brings this in here. Another answer that I saw, a beautiful answer, it's more on the Hasidic side, that Moshe Rabbeinu is such a high level, it's not shaykh. He should be tainted with any concept of being a relative. Although it doesn't fit with the Rambam, but it's the Rambam's lashon is always Moshe. Even though Moshe is trustworthy, it doesn't matter. But he says not good to trust. Moshe doesn't live in this world. All right, it's not for now. I just brought it up because it's an interesting concept. Anyhow, here it says that a Karev does not see a nega. Where do we learn that out? So the Gemara in Sanhedrin, where it says that the Nemaman is done on Bayim, that you can't start the Nemaman by night. So learns it out from Psukim. The Gemara learns from Bachshavta Sam Chaleis. They can judge all the time. So Gemara says, Where it says another passing. Why Bayim and Chilas to make up we come up with a solution. Yim. Chilas din Laila the Gemara. The Gemara says, "Masnisin like Rameir," because Rameir holds up here. We're going to learn out a total heckish. Why does it say Riva makes in the Goyim? Why does it say Dinim by the Goyim? So you learn them out. The Goyim bayayim, so too Dinim bayayim. The Goyim can't have blind people, so too Dinim can't have blind people. And the reverse, Makish the Goyim l'Rivim. Just like Rivim can't have Kravim, after the Goyim can't have Kravim. Okay, so we have here a Rambam that's a problem that which the Mefarshim asks. On one hand, he holds that there is a heckish between Dinim and the Goyim, the Yeh to Yeh. So first of all, why doesn't he carry it all the way through? Okay, so the part is because of apostle. Because it says V'shavtu Sam B'chaleitz, that's what I'm going to say. But what about Kravim? Why didn't he bring the Psula? Why didn't he hold the Karav as apostle? It says clearly it's not apostle. So, and there's a din generally a rule of Ein Hekish L'Machtz. So the Kesef says this is not a regular Hekish. It's only used for one thing. This is Vayayim, and he said he has proofs, he has reasons for that. Rambam says it really is a good Hekish, but the rule of Ein Hekish L'Machtz doesn't apply here. Why? Because since it says V'shavtu Sam B'chaleitz, so it can't apply all the way. So therefore, we know it's not all the way. We use whatever is logical. And these are the answers. It's not really our area that we're going to get into so much in the moment. I just want to point out a few things. Anyhow, the end result is what we need to understand is why Taka doesn't he learn it out? If Rivim, where we are making a Hekish, and the Rambam brings the Hekish, Why did he stop it? Why not Craven? Craven was also something could have learned it out. Not like there's no logic to it. There is a logic why a Karev shouldn't see a nega. Yeah. Now this says that the Rabbanan argue and holding a moment is Malayla. But that doesn't answer Rash Ram. That writes Kohen Shani de Liris. Achochem Rayayo. Who cares if he's day Liris, not right? He doesn't want to see. He doesn't want to look. Why does he have to get involved? Now the Mishnah doesn't say anything about it. It just says Atum Atayr Midei Kohen, Oimim Lo Yamar, and that's it. Doesn't say anything about what kind of Kohen we're talking about. Why did I put that in? He writes, I'm a Lamar Tamit. Kain I'm a Tamit. Amar Tar. Kain I'm a Tar. Why do we need that? Why just say the guy says, this looks Tamit, and the Kain says Tamit? Why do you have to tell him to say Tamit? And that says in the Mishnah and the Rambam. Amar, you gotta say he's like the command and control. And the Rambam adds something to the Mishnah. And the guy even tells him, Hasgiroi. Lock him up. We'll Hasgiroi. That doesn't say in the Mishnah. Why did the Rambam add it? Yeah. I want to just mention an interesting question that's raised in the story of Aaron and Miriam and Moshe. So if we say, according to the Rambam, as we pass, that a Zar can evaluate and a Karev can say a Kohen. Now, there's an opinion that says that it's only the evaluation that a Karev can do, even according to our mayor. But the actual saying, the Kohen is saying that even a Karev can do. There's a big discussion on that, and I'm not getting into it. I just want to mention it. So the question is, by Miriam, what's the problem? Why do you need the Abish to get involved? There were enough Zakanim. Let them come and evaluate. And tell Aaron to say, and Aaron can say, or according to what we said before, that Moshe is not considered a Karev. Let Moshe evaluate, and Aaron will say, okay. Rama writes, Ein maschilin is adinim alive. And what does he write? Miashur lomsh adinim kenegoy. Rama korim chalega. So, yeah. That the point is because he learns from two psukim. The Rambam doesn't mention that. He just says adinim kenegoyim. That's it. And they're not kenegoyim because negoyim dinim safe gemar din has to be can be balayla. So why does he say that? A second, the losh now dinim kenegoyim. It's not the hook should dinim lenegoyim. Okay, so I want to present a thought. It's not so difficult to understand. That's it's a logical dilemma that we should have. How do we understand that Kohen's saying Tameh? We could say the Kohen acts as the Gemar did. The Royeh, who could be a Yisrael, acts as the evaluator, the Tchilas Din. The Kohen is the Gemar. And he says, Tameh. That's the verdict. He gives the verdict. Or no. That Amira Sakoyin is not din. The din is all done by they decide. Okay, they decide. But there's a stage called making him Tameh. And that depends on the Kohen. That has to come. Now it fits very well. The Sikh of the Rebbe, Hilchos Zayin, whatever says a why Kohen, because in order to separate a Jew from Klal Yisrael, which is what the whole Tzaraas does, you need the Kohen. You need a chesed of a Kohen. That was to create that Tumas. Okay. Now, that'll answer why even a shaitan, a cotton, is good, because a shaitan cotton is also good. Because it's about saying, it's not about rendering a verdict. It's just the words. And not only that, it's not telling Kohen only. It's Kohen, the Kohen that's miyuchas to Aaron. Why is Moshe not good? The Gemara says, I Moshe was a Kohen. Because this is Aaron. It's a special dispensation given to Aaron. Perhaps this will explain a machlekes how to understand the Rambam regarding a Kohen cotton between the Kesef Mishnah and the Teres Chaim, and then clearly that Tosfos holds one of these ways, but we're talking about in the Rambam. Perek Alef above Halacha Gimel, the Rambam writes that you must know Negoim inside out to be a judge in Negoim. And he writes, Shekol Kohen, obviously it doesn't mean only a Kohen, it means anybody who's a value, and She'ena Makeh Hamaros, which may say him, Kishem the Moisem Medinas. Now, what happens to a Kohen that doesn't know? Teach him. He shouldn't see the nega. Until he can recognize all the four colors that are mentioned. Anything about it, everything where it has hakel same lyrics, like what is hakel? Even somebody's not bucky, but it says you need to be a bucky, it says you gotta teach him and he'll understand. If he can't understand, he's not to be a bucky. In fact, as a Mishnah here it says a shait is good. Rambam writes a shait is good. Now, Mishnah doesn't mean really a shait. It means somebody who you can teach. The guy with the Chacham is considered a shait. The Teres Chaim says it's not possible. The word shait is shait. It's an argument, what's called a shait? Many people have different translations for shait. They use it in many different phrases. So, therefore, he says that the guy who says doesn't have to know anything. It's only the guy who evaluates. If he's saying Mechalatzma, he's got to know. But if he's saying on him, as the Rambam says, all he has to say and do. Okay, so I want to say that that's the machlekes. If it's a psak din, okay, then you got to pass him. Then you need somebody with some kind of seichel, even a cut, but he has got to be a seichel. But if it's not a psak din, if it's just a saying, I don't have to do anything. He's a mouthpiece. I'll be him. He has a mouthpiece. And okay, according to this second approach, which I think fits with Rambam Losiso, makes a lot of sense with our rights. Why does he stress that? It doesn't say in the Mishnah. Because he wants to stress that this guy is a nobody. All he is a mouthpiece. He's not a nobody. He's great. He's making the Tumas. Also fits the Lashon now. A Tumas Vatara, not the psak, the Tumas, the actual Tumas. That's why the Rambam. That's why I say a moir. The Kohen is repeating after him. He's not at all a independent body here. The only koyach he has is his mouth, and he says it, and it comes through him. Chacham is the one that says if it's Torah Tameh. But not he tells him to say it, but that's it. And that's why the Rambam has Hasgira, because he is nothing more than a conduit to create the Tumah. Yeah. Okay. So the Chayra comes out. There is no Gemara Din really by Negoim. Because the Kohen is the Metam with a special Koyach of Kohen. As we said, that's Miyuchas Taran. So there's only a Scholas Din. The Yisrael says a Moyer. Yeah. But as long as he doesn't say that, that's not a Gemara Din. So you can't learn from the Gun only Tchilas Din. That's what the Ram holds. That's why Ram says Tchilas Din. So perhaps that's why you can't reverse and learn the Goyim from Dinim. You can only go one way here because they're not the same. There is not the same kind of din. The other way works if by a place where there is no Gemara din, right? And there's halacha you need bayayim. It's okay. So here also, but reverse maybe. If there would be a din, like you can't have a korev by dinim. Make a case that applies for but for the Goyim. Goyim is a separate. It ends differently, so you don't know what an halacha is. It may not have that chumrah. That's why the Rambam writes hadinim in the Goyim, and not that the dinim are ukshul in the Goyim. There's no hekishim. Oh, now it comes out good that he doesn't allow out the din of any negoyim from dinim, only dinim from the goy. Now I want to add that could be the Rambam stressed Shani a day is it'll only work in such a case. That would be a big chiddush, but that I'm saying it as a chiddush. The only time this thing works is if you really don't know. If you know, then you need to do it yourself. As a svara, I can just tell you, because you know something, you can't rely on the other person. I want to repeat something I heard from a chazer of the Rebbe Sichos. He said, when I was listening to the Rebbe on things that I knew nothing about, I picked up every word he said. As soon as a topic came up that I knew, it was much harder to be chazer because my mind was on my own. I heard this from Simon Jacobson, and I think it's a very, very true point. I tell it a lot to people, and I think that could be the varite. That's why the Ran says only in any dealers. Now, what will that have? I'll answer that we asked, why didn't Moshe or one of the Chacham or the Zekanim evaluate Miriam? And then according to those opinions that it won't apply to that the din of Karev won't apply, then let Aaron say Karev. Aaron say Tameh. Aaron can't say Tameh because he's a Yedei Liris. And just an additional svara. I don't know that it's true, but I have no reason to assume that it is. But I think it's a nice idea, and it could fit into the words of the Rambam. Anyway, Zeit gesund, Mishak.